Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. Only two games here on Wednesday. We had the battle between the 1 and 8 seed in each conference, Celtics versus Heat, and my Oklahoma City Thunder facing off against the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm gonna start with that game. That was a game that I was actually at. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I went to game 1, went to game 2, stayed in OKC for a few days, and it was incredible. Again, like game 1, the atmosphere was electric. The fans were going crazy, and in this one, I didn't have to suffer a mini heart attack throughout because rather than the game being decided right at the buzzer, the Thunder commanded this game pretty much the entire way. The Pelicans went down double digits pretty quickly, tried to fight back, brought it to back within single digits, I think part of the second quarter, and by the time midway through the third quarter rolled around, the Thunder were up by like 20 points, end up winning this one by 32, and it was not really even close. I was never worried that the Thunder were going to lose this one. Like I told you in the last video I made talking about this game, to me it felt like this was going to be a blowout in favor of the Thunder. Game 1, it felt like they just had some jitters they had to work through. They were getting a lot of really good looks that they typically always knock down, but they weren't hitting them. The process was fine, although there were some miscommunications, a couple of mistakes, errors in execution. I figured those would be tuned up going into Game 2. Exactly what happened. The Pelicans scored the same amount of points they did last time, but rather than losing by 2, they lost by 32. Thunder went ahead and knocked down 14 of 29 threes, that's 48%, 59% shooting from the field, out-rebounded the Pelicans, which is something I know a lot of people like to talk about with this Thunder team. It was complete dominance, and that's exactly what I expect from this Thunder team as the 1 seed going up against this Pelican squad without Zion Williamson. And the real stars of this game were the 3 guys who have been the big stars for us all season: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. Coming into this season, it was pretty clear that those 3 guys were going to be the new age big 3. We look back to Russ, KD, and Harden. These guys had the chance to be the new version of that. And all throughout the season, that was made very clear that these 3 guys are the core pieces. Even though there are so many other great players that contribute in big ways, they are the head of the snake. You had Shai, who built up an MVP case this entire season and is probably going to finish top 2, top 3. Chet Holmgren, who in almost any other season would have easily won Rookie of the Year. Just unfortunately, there was Victor Wembanyama this year and made his own case for all defense in the process with one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time, maybe the best rookie season ever that's not going to result in a Rookie of the Year win. And then Jalen Williams, who went ahead and showed out as a rookie, coming in as a 12th overall pick, who rapidly rose up draft boards and then shocked the world, making a late run to try and win Rookie of the Year. Didn't end up getting it, but firmly got second place, and I still think he should have gotten more love in favor of that award. Those 3 guys were the key, and all season, they were the ones that led us to the 57 wins for the most part. But for some reason, coming into the playoffs, people didn't believe in those big 3, didn't believe in the team as a whole. The amount of times I've seen people say that the Thunder can't win the playoffs because they're inexperienced, because they're going to struggle with physicality, they don't have size, that this Pelicans team, even without Zion, can still be a big-time threat to them. I saw Bill Simmons say that. I saw Kendrick Perkins. Like, national media people were pushing, hey, this Thunder team is probably, or maybe not probably, but still is a good chance to lose to this Pelicans team again without Zion Williamson. The disrespect going towards this big 3 and the Thunder as a whole has been ridiculous. And I'm sure some people in the comments are going to say that didn't happen. Trust me, I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I wouldn't be talking about it if it didn't happen. Then we get to the playoffs, and in game 1, things are a little bit shaky, but all 3 of those guys shine in their own way. And tonight, you saw exactly why all 3 of these guys are not only built for the playoffs, but they're guys whose game is going to rise in these situations. And it's a big reason why the Thunder can not only win in the long term, but have way more potential in this year's playoffs than basically anybody's giving them credit for. Let's start off with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. All season, there were people saying that he was a free throw merchant, that once he got to the playoffs, he wouldn't be as effective because referees aren't going to give him the free throw calls that he typically gets. He's going to struggle with the physicality, and his numbers are going to take a big decline. In game 1, which was a really close, grinded up physical game, he still put up 28 points on just below 50% shooting. And then tonight, spending a lot of the night being guarded by Herb Jones, who is one of the best perimeter defenders, if not the best perimeter defender in the entire league, should easily be all defensive. Shai goes out there and puts up 33 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and shoots a blistering 13 of 19 from the field and 3 of 5 from deep. And it wasn't all Herb Jones. There was also like Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, Brandon Ingram, these guys that have a lot of length. A very physical Pelicans team. Shai wasn't bothered by any of it. He was knocking down some unbelievably difficult mid-range jumpers, getting to the rim at pretty much ease like he did all season. It's the same stuff that Shai's always done, but for some reason people thought that a guy who, again, is going to finish top 3 in MVP voting at the very least, and was top 5 last year, who averaged back-to-back years of 30 plus points per game, that might have ended up setting like one of the 5 highest marks for 30-point games in a season if he didn't deal with an injury, was just going to magically forget how to play basketball when we got to the playoffs. That never made any sense to me, and here he is again against a team that has a defender that a lot of people thought, oh, maybe he can mess with him. He's not messing with him at all. Shai is just beyond pretty much any type of Shai stopper. He's a special player. He is going to continue to be an all NBA MVP level guard for his entire career. And having him here is the reason why I'm so confident in this Thunder team. The stuff that he does on a night-to-night basis, it's unlike almost any other scorer I've ever seen. So Shai, right from the get-go, has gotten rid of all the allegations, because you know how many free throws he shot tonight? 4, and 2 of them were technical free throws. So he only got 1 trip to the actual line off a shooting foul. The other 2 times are technical free throws, and he still went ahead and had one of the most efficient 33-point games you'll see by any player these playoffs. Then let's get to Chet Holmgren, who was doubted by a lot of people coming into his rookie season, and this year's in particular, because he's too skinny. He's not going to be able to handle the physicality of 5s. He's going to get broken in half. Jonas Valanciunas is going to give him a lot of problems. That's something I saw from a number of national media people. But you know what Chet did? He played Jonas Valanciunas off the court. The Thunder did as a whole, but he in particular, because what people don't talk about with these big, burly bigs that can bang with Chet down low, Jonas did start off the game really well. I think he had the Pelicans first like 11 points or something like that. The problem is they're going to bleed points on the other end, because he couldn't keep up with Chet. Chet was just getting right by him. He was shooting right over him from 3. He wasn't able to get around to Chet because he's just so much quicker. And even if it's not Chet torching him, he's getting lost in rotations because this Thunder team moves so fast. They continuously attack downhill, kick out, attack downhill. They keep your defense in constant rotation. Jonas couldn't compete with that. So while on paper he had a good game of 19 points, 7 boards, shot 8 of 14 from the field, he only ended up playing 22 minutes because he physically could not stay on the court because Chet Holmgren was playing him off of it. And Chet himself finishes with 26 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, 9 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6 from deep. He's a stretch big who can rebound, can defend the paint with the best of them, who can attack off the dribble, play make a little bit, shoot the mid-range jumper. Chet can do basically everything. Rookies are not supposed to be this complete as players, and not doing this type of stuff in the playoffs, his impact is unbelievable for a player in their first year. Like, even in his first playoff game, the one that the Thunder barely won, he went out there and had a double-double with 5 blocks, including one of the biggest plays of the game with a massive block on Larry Nance Jr. that just showed unreal defensive ability because he both stayed on Larry Nance, then fell back to guard a cutter, then got back to Larry Nance and blocked the ball at the apex. It's stuff that no player should be able to do, never mind a rookie who's playing in just his first and now second playoff game. Chet is an incredibly special talent, one of the best young players in the world, and I don't think people realize just how high his ceiling is because, again, he's doing all this in his first year. Then there's Jalen Williams, who to me is the reason why this whole thing works the way it does. If we didn't get J-Dub with that 12th overall pick a few years ago, this team is nowhere near where they are because Shai is a guy that we got in that big Paul George blow it up trade. That's a typical route that teams get new star players. Chet Holmgren was taken 2nd overall, so that makes sense too. But grabbing a guy of this caliber with the 12th overall pick, using one of those picks we also got from the Shai trade, is masterful GMing from Sam Presti. This is the move that to me is what turned the Thunder into the juggernaut that they are now, because he is way better than anybody's going to give him credit for. And I think people over the course of this playoff run are going to learn how good he is. He's not just a star. He already is an all-star level talent, and I think superstar upside is very clear with him. The stuff that he does, we talked about Chet as a first-year player, the things that he does as a second-year player don't make any sense. 21 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists in this game, and a steal, 10 of 17 shooting from the field. You want to talk about a guy that makes the most difficult shots possible look easy? That's him. You want to talk about a player that can play make? That's him. A guy that can defend, a guy that can finish through contact, knock down deep shots, is hyper efficient. It's all him. He's already one of the most complete players in the league in his 2nd season. And yet, around the All-Star break, when people were talking about, hey, this Thunder team's good, maybe they should have a second All-Star, like a Chet Holmgren or a Jalen Williams, there are a lot of people that said specifically about J-Dub, why are we gassing up these role players, talking about players as if they're these star-level guys and they're not there yet. He's always been there. The only reason he doesn't put up more points is because he plays alongside all the talented guys in this roster, like Shai, who scores 30 a game, like Chet, who scored like 16, 17 a contest, a bunch of role players who put up a good number of points too off the bench. Like, I truly believe if you gave J-Dub his own team, he would put up a pretty efficient 25-ish points per game. I would not be surprised whatsoever. He is one of the brightest young stars in the league, and people just don't realize it yet. But give him a couple weeks while the Thunder make a playoff run, and they'll see exactly what they're missing out on. I've talked about this new big three for the Thunder a number of times here on the channel already, but seeing them in the playoffs is a different animal because now there's no excuses from people. The people that tried to say that they had all these flaws, that they couldn't do in the playoffs, here they are doing it in the playoffs, where they are doing the same things they've done all season, and even in some cases elevating their game. They're going to continue to do this. These are the type of players they are, and the league should be terrified that already this trio works so well together, looks this good in their first playoff series. Imagine what they can do years down the line if they get even more help added to this roster as they become veterans, as they gain the playoff experience that so many people have told me is the end-all, be-all aspect for whether or not a team can go far in the playoffs, which it isn't. Wait till they get all that, and then what do you do against this Thunder team, especially when other players are contributing as well, like Lou Dort, who has always stepped up in big games, had 4 threes, and has had Brandon Ingram, I'm going to say it again, in the torture chamber this entire series. Josh Giddey played way better in this game with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, much improved from game 1. Isaiah Joe is a knockdown sniper, 2 of 2 from 3, 3 of 4 on the night overall. Cason Wallace, 1 of 2 from the floor, had 3 assists, 3 rebounds, was great in the system. Aaron Wiggins, 2 of 2 from the field. Mark Daigneault, the head coach, is probably going to win Coach of the Year. The Thunder were not supposed to be here already, but the reason they are is because of this big three, who all of them are ahead of schedule. Guys like Chet and J-Dub in their first and second seasons are not supposed to be this good already. And Shai is a guy that I always believed could reach MVP level, but a lot of people told me I was crazy for thinking he could ever be the best player in a championship team, that he would reach MVP status. Here he is, doing exactly that. Here are all 3 of these guys, proving me right. It's stuff I've been saying again and again, and if anybody's been telling you this big three wasn't going to work in the playoffs, that they aren't that good, they've been lying to you. For the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, 5 of 10 shooting from the floor, 18 points. Trey Murphy, 3 of 8 for 8 points. Like I said, Jonas Valanciunas statistically was good, but just couldn't keep up with the Thunder out there. 18 from Herb Jones, 15 from CJ, 10 from Najee Marshall. They just don't have enough talent to keep up with the Thunder. They don't have that leading scorer like a Zion that they need to try and break down this Thunder defense. They just don't really stand a chance in a lot of these games, I would imagine. They're going back home, so maybe they end up stealing one, but they've not been a particularly great home team this season. The Thunder have been great on the road, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Then we have Celtics versus Heat, which I didn't catch all of because I had to go to the Thunder game, and I was actually filming some content with the Oklahoma City Thunder social media team, which was super cool. Shout out to them. It's over on their socials on Instagram and Twitter, as well as I have it on my Twitter and Instagram if you want to go see that. But basically, I didn't catch all of this game, but what I did see is the Miami Heat torching the hell out of the Celtics and somehow getting a win against them, tying up the series 1-1, winning in Boston 111-101, mainly because of the three-point shooting, the most three-pointers ever made by the Heat in a playoff game with 23. It was 6 threes from Tyler Hero, who also had 24 points and 14 dimes, just dicing up the Celtics. 5 of 6 from deep from Caleb Martin, who continues to torture this team. You had 3 of 4 from Jovic, 3 of 6 from Jaime Jaquez. Like Duncan Robinson, the guy you would imagine would shoot like crazy in a game like this, just 2 of 7, 1 of 3 from DeLon Wright. Bam Adebayo played some fantastic defense, 21 points, 10 boards, 2 assists. They did a great job of slowing down Kristaps Porzingis. Jason Tatum started off great, but wasn't fantastic in the end. The Heat just seem to know how to make wins happen. Eric Spoelstra, I tweeted this out, is like the Thanos of NBA coaching. Somehow, he is inevitable. He has the Infinity Stones, and it's just the most random role players you've ever seen. I don't know how he does it. Always finds a way to game plan at least one win, tries to pull off upsets with the best of them. I don't think the Heat win this series. I think they only get this game. Maybe they get a second game somewhere along the way. But the Celtics are the far better team. They're going to respond. But the fact that the Heat even won a game in this series without Jimmy Butler is not the best sign for the Celtics. And maybe it's just that mental hurdle of, oh my God, it's the Miami Heat again. But like, they need to lock in. This is the easiest team they're going to face this entire run. The rest of the way, they're going to face like the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going to face the maybe Knicks, Bucks, Pacers, Sixers, one of those 4 teams. And then if you get to the finals, you're going to have to play like a Denver or a Minnesota or an Oklahoma City or a Clippers or a Mavericks. All these great squads in the Western Conference. Like, this is supposed to be easy for you without Jimmy Butler. The fact that they lost this is a little bit scary. Jaylen Brown finishes with 33 points. Tatum had 28, 13 from Derek White. Not Drew Holiday's best performance. A lot of people in my timeline freaking out saying that Drew Holiday was doing his old stuff where he makes these bad decisions in the playoffs and kind of falls apart. I think Drew's going to be fine. I think the Celtics team as a whole is going to be fine. It was just a great game plan for the Heat for this moment. Eric Spoelstra is a wizard. They'll bounce back from this. I'm not too worried, although it is fun that, the Heat are again giving a team problems, and it's fun to see everybody talk about it. Jimmy Butler posted a meme talking about, don't let us get one on his Instagram. So that's fun too. Nice to see that Jimmy continues to troll, even though he's not on the court. But yeah, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league easily. I don't think it's even a contest at this point. And shout out to the Heat for staying resilient. This is a team that never says die. They always continue to play, even when their best player and the guy that has typically carried them in the past, in Jimmy, is not going to be back for this series. But hey, they pull off the most miraculous upset I've ever seen. Maybe he could come back down the line. With all that being said, those are my thoughts on these games. Let me know down below in the comments what your takeaways were. What do you think about this Thunder Big Three? How far could they bring this Thunder team this season? Could they go to a Western Conference Finals and NBA Finals? Maybe even win it? Do you think that's out of the equation? Would love to hear your thoughts on that, as well as your thoughts on the Celtics Heat series. Do you think the Heat are going to make it more interesting than I'm giving it credit for? Or do you think the Celtics are going to bounce back in a big way? Lastly, I'm going to take a quick moment to thank you all, because over the course of these past 4 or 5 days that have been in Oklahoma City, the amount of people that have stopped me to say, hey, are you Cone? I follow you on Twitter, or I'm subscribed to your YouTube channel. I love your After the Buzzer videos, whatever. It's been unbelievable. I really have a hard time internalizing just how many of you watch and support these videos. Of course, I see the numbers and I interact with a lot of y'all, and it's awesome. I never take it for granted. But those moments where people walk up to me and recognize me, it's crazy to me. I cannot believe that I'm even here right now, that I'm able to come to Oklahoma City and watch this team play, that I'm able to collaborate with the Thunder social media team, and all of that is because y'all support me. You allow me to live out my dreams with this career that I've got going on here. It's incredibly special. I can never thank y'all enough. I am eternally grateful, and I just wanted to go ahead and say that here at the end of the video, because seriously, over the course of this week, the best part of all of it has been getting to interact with y'all. Really do appreciate that. But yeah, with all that being said, I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say back.